Welcome to Untold Horrors. I'm Jamie.
I'm Patrick.
And I'm Steph.
This is the podcast where we mine the depths of Tubi in search of buried treasure.
We are here to sacrifice our free time and likely our sanity, so you don't have to.
Each week, we fire up Tubi, spin the roulette of despair, and let its keyword search decide our fate.
Is it a hidden gem, a misunderstood masterpiece, or a flaming garbage heap wrapped up in VHS nostalgia?
Join us as we laugh, scream, and occasionally question our life choices.
Who will survive?
Untold Horrors, because Tubi's algorithm has no mercy, and neither do we. So let the roulette spin, and let the suffering
And let the suffering
begin.
Untold Beginnings.
It's time now for Untold Beginnings. This is where we each take turns answering 3 questions. What have you been watching? What else have you been doing? And what's on your horror radar? Jamie, I'm going to let you go first. And I believe that you wanted to chat about a film you recently watched on Tubi called Lowlifes. Did you want to start with that?
Guys, I didn't really expect anything from Lowlifes. When you go to Tubi and you click on it and everything, and there's like a little 5-second snippet, it's an old man sitting on an old rocking chair. He's like, "No, it's time for stories or entertainment." And I'm like, okay, fucking, this is sick. Have either of you guys seen this movie?
I have seen Lowlifes.
Before I just go hyperbole, what did you think? Give me an educated opinion before this uneducated opinion.
I genuinely liked it. I thought it was a nice... I don't want to give too much away. I thought the story they were telling had a nice twist to it.
Yes, it's so hard to sell a movie like this. But you can't say a word.
It does have a dark, black sense of humor. It's definitely bloody. If you're sort of kind of a gorehound, there's plenty of that for you.
There's a sense of nihilism in it. There's a sense of primal fuck you. And not all movies have that. And I'm very attracted to that. Watch Lowlifes. It's free. You'll love it.
Well, I haven't seen it, but that sounds like a great recommendation. So I'm excited to check it out. Patrick, what about you? Got anything?
Yeah, I've recently been listening to Truest Blood. It's a podcast hosted by Kristen Bauer, who played Pam on True Blood, and Deborah Ann Wall, who played Jessica on True Blood. Yeah. And they are doing a recap of every episode of True Blood. And they have guests on from the show and people who are behind the scenes come on to get interviewed. That inspired me because I realized listening to the podcast, I had not watched the last 2 seasons of True Blood. I tapped out somewhere early in season 6. So since the last time we recorded, I went and watched season 6 and 7 of True Blood solely because of this podcast I was on.
This is crazy because I recently started rewatching True Blood. I was just like looking for something to rewatch. I was like, it's been a while since I've seen it. And I think I just started season 6, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. But yeah, I'm going back through it and I love this show. It's so good. And Pam and Jessica are like 2 of my absolute favorites. So that's super fun. The last episode, I told you guys that I was super excited for Mickey 17. And I finally made it to the theater to see it, and I absolutely loved it. So I love that every film that he has, there's some like potent social commentary, and he's really known for that. But I think unlike a lot of films where, when they have a lot of heady political and social themes, they tend to be, and I've been watching a lot of these lately and writing about them, but they tend to be pretty bleak and nihilistic because of just the nature of what they're talking about. But this film is really... it has things to say, but it's also super uplifting and hopeful. And I think that Robert Pattinson is such an underrated and wildly talented actor. I think he's like a real chameleon, and he's really phenomenal in this film. Like, it's just very, very fun. It's very like weird and like silly and strange. And it's really just sweet and charming. And I loved it quite a bit. Let's talk about what's on our horror radar. Patrick, why don't you start us off?
I am excited about the new book by Stephen Graham Jones that just dropped, Buffalo Hunter, which I understand is his newest vampire novel. And I can't wait to dig into that. He's become one of my favorite authors.
I love that. You're a big reader, aren't you, Patrick?
I try to be, yep. I grew up reading a lot, and the first books I got into were Stephen King, to the point where when I was a kid, preteen, and a teenager, the local bookstore, the owner of it was my first grade teacher. So when Stephen King had a new book come out, she would hold a hardcover first edition aside for me, knowing I was coming in like that first week of release to get it.
I love that. Patrick, I don't know if you'll appreciate this, but I saw this meme on social media. And basically they said, if you're one of those adults who spends like hours doom scrolling on social media, that you may have, and if you are one of those kids who like would just voraciously read everything like crazy, then you're probably somebody who, like basically you're replacing doom scrolling with that reading obsession, and it's really both just a way to escape your reality and sort of disassociate. And I'm not saying that to you, but that's definitely me. I'm like, yeah, that's
That absolutely sounds accurate. 1000%.
Well, keep me posted when you read this book. I would love to hear more about it.
Will do.
What about you, Jamie? Anything you're excited about?
Speaking of books, I'm thinking about getting back into extreme splatter novels. I used to read them like a decade ago. And I've been watching once again reaction videos, and it sort of gave me the taste again, like Edward Lee, Richard Lehman, Jack Ketchum. Jack Ketchum wrote the best book I've ever read, The Lost. Have you ever read The Lost? Nothing to do with the show.
No, I haven't.
It's a fictionalization of a true crime story, and it is the only book that stopped me from sleeping. I mean, it's just, he's extreme and shocking, but he's tasteful. He's like Stephen King about it. And he really gets in there. But yeah, splatter novels is going to be on my radar.
Nice. Well, as for me, I'm a movie girl, so I'm super excited about a couple of movies. The next biggest film that I'm pretty excited about is coming on April 18th, and I saw a trailer for it when I was watching Mickey 17, and it's Sinners, and it looks so good. Do you have anything else that you've been working on that you want to share and talk about?
No.
Nothing, Jamie?
No.
What about you, Patrick? Got anything?
Nothing for me right now.
All right. Well, I have a couple of things. I just published a pretty massive guide to extreme horror and subversive filmmakers on morbidlybeautiful.com, and it was a long labor of love that I did a lot of research for. So if you're, I think that even if you're a mega fan of extreme and boundary pushing cinema, there should be at least a few filmmakers and films that you're not familiar with. There's some really deep cuts, and if that's your bag, I really encourage you to check it out, because I think you'll find some stuff maybe that's new and exciting that you can check out. I also added a new interactive quiz on the site in honor of March Madness. And you can go and you can find out who your horror basketball coach would be. And I think it's a really fun one. And I loved putting it together. So hopefully you will enjoy taking that quiz as much as I enjoyed putting it together. So just a little couple of recommendations on marblybeautiful.com that I would love you to check out if you have time.
Untold fate.
All right, guys, it is time to spin the Tubi Wheel of Terror and find out what our untold fate holds. Okay,
Yes.
so let's recap what is currently on the Wheel of Terror. We have got gore, hammer horror, hospital horror, mutant horror, dolls, demons, found footage, monster horror, and folk horror. This week, the wheel landed on animal horror. I have chosen to replace that with asylum horror. Okay, here we go. I'm spinning. All right, we're doing hammer horror. Jamie, what did you pick?
I picked 1965, 1 hour, 38-minute Dr. Chair's House of Horrors.
What's
5
the description?
passengers aboard a train receive readings from a fortune teller, which predict the gruesome directions their lives will take. Directed by everyone's favorite, Freddie Francis.
Okay, Patrick, what'd you pick?
The 1968 movie Curse of the Crimson Altar, 1 hour and 26 minutes. In search of his missing brother, Robert Manning is led to a remote country house that he believes may be tied to the legend of the Black Witch. Directed by Vernon Sewell and starring Boris Karloff, Christopher Lee, Barbara Steele, and Michael Gow.
Please pick this one. I've
All right.
always wanted to see that.
That's pretty good, but mine, I may be the winner. I picked The Monster Project. 2017, 1 hour and 39 minutes. A horror film crew interviews 3 people claiming to be real-life monsters. A skinwalker, a vampire, and a demon. Come nightfall, they prove it. The clear winner, but do you guys want to debate and talk about which one we're picking?
Well,
I need to watch a movie that has the chance of being good, so I'm going with Curse of the Crimson Altar.
Me
I
too.
haven't seen it.
All right,
it looks
fine. Patrick, you won the face-off, so it is your pick that we're going to be discussing for this Hammer Horror special. With the caveat that we did enter Hammer Horror as a search term in Tubi, we didn't actually get a real Hammer Horror film, but we're gonna pretend that it is, and we're gonna treat it like a Hammer Horror film.
It's Hammer Horror adjacent.
It's esque. It's Hammer Horror esque, and that's what matters.
Like, kind of like Amicus.
Yes. Curse of the Crimson Altar, which is also known as the Crimson Cult, if you're looking for it. It was released during a period of late 60s British horror that was beginning to transition into more experimental and lurid territory, with films like Witchfinder General and The Blood Beast Terror. Now, Curse of the Crimson Altar does boast a very impressive cast, which includes Christopher Lee, Boris Karloff in his final UK role, Barbara Steele, and Mark Eden. Its visual style, particularly during the dream sequences, is undeniably striking, and it evokes the era's psychedelic aesthetic. But is it effective as an occult horror film? Let's discuss. It opens with a quote, and I'm going to read the quote, which is an extract from Medieval Journal. I'm assuming that's real. I don't know, but here's the quote. And drugs of this group can produce the most complex hallucinations, and under their influence, it is possible by hypnosis to induce the subject to perform actions he would not normally commit. So that's what we get to start.
I kept rewinding it because I thought I missed part of the quote. Because I'm like, what drug are they talking about? Like, what?
No, that's all you get. And it's like ... and drugs of this group can produce.
That's all I thought I mixed. I was like, oh, I better rewind this. I must have missed before the ...
Yeah.
That's it.
And I think we'll circle back to that in the end, and we'll talk about like what that actually means and how that relates to the plot of the film. But it does come out of nowhere. It's a weird way to start. And it gets weirder from here.
Yeah. And I thought they would have done, I was doing some research on this, and I found out that the movie is loosely based on the Dreams in the Witch House story by H.P. Lovecraft.
I saw that too.
I kind of sensed that, believe it or not. Yeah.
So it would have been nice if they had actually quoted Lovecraft to open it up instead of this weird ass medieval journal.
It opens with this scene that I wrote down, felt very much like a Lynchian nightmare. We have in this weird dream, we've got a green-skinned woman wearing a gold goat horned headpiece. And she's played by Barbara
Looking
Steele.
very much like a character from Star Trek that Captain Kirk would have tried to get
Yes.
into.
And she's sort of lording over the proceedings. We're in this big, like, kind of ritual room. And there's a blonde, naked woman tied to a table, and she's screaming her head off. And she is being repeatedly whipped by this barely clothed lady who's like a dominatrix type lady. And meanwhile, there's a stern-looking priest. He's sitting and watching in the corner. And then you've got a naked woman holding a rooster standing in another corner. And then you've got another nearly naked leather-clad male dominatrix wearing an antler headpiece. Then you cut to a man wearing a hooded robe with a goat. And then you cut to a strange man in a suit just staring blankly at this like crazy ass scene. And then the green goddess steps down from her throne and she's like, tells everyone to stop. And she approaches the suited man, who we learn is Peter Manning. And she says that she's Lavinia, mother of the mysteries, keeper of the black secret. Like, at this point, I'm like, yes, please, more of this. Like, I could watch a whole movie of this kind of shenanigans.
Mm-hmm. It hooks you right in, as strange as it is.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we do not get a whole movie of these shenanigans. We get something else entirely.
Yeah. Like you said, it starts off with a bang, but there are very few bangs.
Yeah.
After that,
it's a lot of whimpering after this.
Yeah, there's a particular conversation, and there's some real misogyny in this movie.
100%.
I'm really interested to hear what you have to say about it.
We cut to a building exterior, and it says Manning Brothers Limited. And then we go to the inside and we meet a man, Robert Manning, and he is an antiques dealer played by Mark Eden. And him and his secretary are talking about this trick knife that arrived in a box of artifacts from his brother Peter, which is the man that we met in the intro. And Robert proceeds to tell the woman about how witch hunters would use this trick knife as a way to brand witches. And they would stick it into the woman, and if it didn't draw blood, she'd be branded a witch. Which is a pretty cool little aside.
Fucking sick.
I mean, yeah, it's fucked up, but so are everything related to witch hunting. So
God. Every time I hear something new. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like when you throw the witch into the river, and if she doesn't drown,
yeah,
she's a witch. But if she drowns,
does, like she's innocent.
Sorry
yeah,
about
it's all it's incredible fuckery. And there is this letter in the box of goods that he got from Peter. And it says, like, Peter's on this treasure hunting mission. He's off to find, like, artifacts for the business. And the letter says he has not been feeling well. And it's dated 10 days ago. And there's an address. And the address is a place called Crackstead Lodge at Grey Marsh, which is their family's ancestral town. And there's a phone number that says that they should call that number and ask for Morley. So they call, and Morley says, Peter's never been there, never heard of him before. And Robert's really suspicious, and he decides, like, I'm going to go check this out. And he gets there, and it's night when he arrives. And there's this big-ass party in progress. And I thought this was super weird. This blonde woman, who we don't know yet, but she walks up to him, and she just kisses him. She just, like, plants a big kiss on him. She doesn't know who the fuck he is, and he doesn't know who she is. But that's how she greets people. And her name is Eve Morley, and she is the niece of the estate owner. We meet him, and he is played by Christopher Lee, which is always a treat, even though it's a pretty subdued character. He doesn't get a lot of, like, meat to chew on, but it is still great to see him in every scene that he's in.
Especially when he interacts with Karloff.
100%. Like those two together are phenomenal. And Morley's like, no, your brother was never here. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it was some elaborate prank. I don't know what to tell you, dude.
I was just thinking, it occurred to me, he's playing almost a variation on his character from The Wicker Man. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So Robert's going to stay here at the estate for a few days. And before we get any further, this is where we're going to pause. And we're going to do a dramatic reading. And the dramatic reading is a scene where we've got Robert, Morley, and Eve. And they're all in the study talking. And they're discussing the burning of a famous witch named Lavinia Morley, who happens to be Eve's distant relative. And as they are talking, this old man in a wheelchair is brought in. And he's brought in by his emo goth manservant named Basil. And the old man is Professor Marsh, and he is played by the ailing Boris Karloff in one of his final film roles before his passing in 1969. Now, Marsh is going to be here to really significantly up the creep factor. And he's also going to provide a lot of exposition on who the fuck Lavinia is, what her history is, and what is this curse that she supposedly placed on all her accusers and their descendants in a very Blair Witch sort of way. Now, Jamie is going to be playing Morley, who's Christopher Lee, as well as, Jamie, are you going to also do Eve, the niece?
I sure am going to try.
Okay. I need you to really nail that. You only got a couple lines when it comes to Eve, but we need to, you need to really like deliver.
Have some faith.
Patrick has got the hardest role. He's going to play Professor Marsh, which is Boris Karloff, who does a lot of scenery chewing in this scene, in every scene that he's in. But
I can't wait to hear it too, because he stole the show, in my opinion.
He's so good,
Karloff.
and
yeah.
I know that Patrick is gonna nail this. I'm excited.
No pressure.
And I'm going to take one for the team, and I'm going to be playing the worst character in the entire film. I think I can say without hesitation, Robert Manning. He sucks in so many ways, and I'm going to be trying to do him the lack of justice that he deserves.
Dramatic reading.
This is a very special night for us in this part of the world. The locals take it very seriously.
I thought Guy Fawkes was the traditional night for burning.
In other parts of England, it is. Only we have Lavinia, dear.
Oh my God. Woo! So sorry. That was actually great. I just lost my mind. Oh my God. Let's just keep going.
Okay.
Okay. Lavinia?
Yes, the Black Witch of Greymarsh. Her full name was Lavinia Morley. She was my great aunt, 7, 8, 9 times removed.
Who the fuck kind of voice are you doing? That's not Eve. You're like some like
That's
old British lady. Yes, the Black Witch of Greymarsh. Yes, darling.
Mrs. Doubtfire has entered the room.
Yeah, kind of.
Pish posh.
It's not accurate at all, but it sounds good.
Just so you guys know, this is like this young blonde girl who's like super cutesy.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Mm.
I was thinking about like altering, like hello or something like that, but I'd
What are you talking about?
I'd bury the needle. It would sound awful.
Jesus Christ. All right.
That's the video.
Does that make you a witch as well?
I lost our spot here. In other parts of England, we have Lavinia. Okay, now who says Lavinia?
What? We're past that.
Where are we?
Oh my God, music. Jamie. We're only like 4 lines in and you're already like losing your shit.
You cut parts
You're
out
stepping
of
on my lines.
You cut parts out of this. Okay.
What do you mean I cut parts out of this? No, I didn't. This is exact script, word for word.
Mm-hmm.
Cut it like after the I can't do it that funny again.
My fucking God.
Oh, cut none of this.
Well, just start where you want to start, and then let's get back into it and try to keep it going.
Yes, the Black Witch of Greymarsh. Her full name was Lavinia Morley. She's my great aunt. 7, 8, 9 times removed, dear.
Does
Dear, is there
that
something wrong?
does that make you a witch as well?
It's not wise to joke about such matters. The devil is not exactly noted for his sense of humor, and he never sleeps. Over by my favorite corner, Basil. Then that will be all for the moment.
John, why on earth didn't you come to dinner?
Oh, shall we say, an unexpected obstacle arose?
Mr. Manning, I'd like you to meet Professor Marsh. John, this is Professor Manning.
How do you do?
Manning. Manning. That name rings a bell. Do you have a family here?
Well, my family used to live in Grey Marsh many years ago.
Ah, I knew I was right.
Well, John, if you don't know what's going on around here, nobody does. Professor Marsh is the acknowledged expert on this type of world, past, present.
And future.
Elder, would you get Professor Marsh a drink?
Oh, don't bother, Elder. Just bring the glasses. As a matter of fact, I brought something rather special along with me tonight, in honor of the celebration. There, I'll help myself. Be careful of this brandy, Elder. It's as rare as gold, but infinitely more precious.
Thank you, Elder.
No, thank you, dear.
No, Jamie, you're saying no thank you. You're passing on it. You're like, no thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Go
Is
ahead.
Jamie going to do a reread?
yeah.
Yes.
No, thank you, dear.
It's not. It's the manservant offering you a drink.
Okay.
Just say no thank you.
You really just want me to say no, thank you?
Yes.
Okay. No, thank you.
Good girl. Completely wasted on redheads. Well, now, what do you think of it?
It's marvelous, John. Absolutely marvelous.
Ah. And you, Mr. Manning?
Yeah, good stuff.
Good stuff? Is that all you can find to say about it? What are you doing in this part of the country anyway?
Well, it seems that Mr. Manning has come here to trace his brother.
Yes, my brother Peter. Although Trace is putting it a bit strongly, I'm just looking for him. I thought he might be around here somewhere, probably in the village.
Probably came down to make a mockery of our ceremony too?
No, I don't think so. Although from what I've heard, it does sound a little absurd.
Oh, really? Well, let me tell you, young man. In spite of it sounding a little absurd to you, Lavinia's influence has spanned the centuries. Oh, she must have been a woman of enormous power and character. Of course, she wasn't guilty of the things of which she stood accused, maintained her innocence up to the very end, but they didn't believe her and burned her at the stake. And when they mocked her as a witch, she cursed them and their descendants, root and branch. There's been good reason to rue the day they burned Lavinia. Many people have died, Mr. Manning. Mysteriously, horribly. There's always been a link between those who burned Lavinia and those who died. And there will be more.
Well, you still want to go to the burning?
Sure, why not? Oh, good night, Professor. It's been very interesting talking to you.
We shall meet again.
The end. Oh boy, that was something. That was something else, man.
That was fun.
Oof. Okay. Well, from here, Eve and Robert go to the burning. And at the burning, we get a scene of, this is the very Wicker Man part. We get a scene of these people marching and chanting, "Burn the witch." And they're carrying torches through the woods at night. And they're led by this drummer in full sort of British royal regalia. Like it's a very over-the-top costumed thing. And they're carrying this woman who's dressed to look like Lavinia. And they've got this huge bonfire with fireworks. And then later that night, we see, so there's this manservant in the home, and his name is Elder. And apparently he is under Lavinia's spell. And I guess he feels guilty, so he tries to warn Robert, and he tells him, you've got to get out of here before it's too late. And he also mentions that there's a private graveyard on the estate's property. And the graveyard is one that you can see outside of Robert's bedroom window. And so Robert heads down there, and he's going downstairs, and we get the creepy music and the night fog. And this is the very
The music
Hammer
was really
Horror-esque.
good.
Yes, the
very
music
good.
was great. Yes.
And he is going to go down to this graveyard and investigate. But when he gets there, both Professor Marsh and Morley are waiting for them. And they're like, "What the fuck are you up to?" And they have this exchange. And I think it's Marsh that says, like, "Aren't you afraid of ghosts?" And, Robert's like, "No, I believe the dead stay dead." And then Patrick, why don't you read this line in your best Professor Marsh voice?
You may find, Mr. Manning, that when the time comes, your skepticism is rather a fragile shield.
And then
And I
we get some-
actually noted before you go on, I actually
No.
noted at this point that even though he's sick and he's limited to a wheelchair, like his performance is still pretty powerful. The voice is still there, the eyes,
great.
like, yeah, he still brings it.
like, he's the best part of this by far.
By
He's
far.
so good. Yeah, by far. Like, no, leaps and bounds.
He looks like he loves his whiskey. I don't know if that's him or the character, but he looks like he loves his whiskey.
Yeah, it's a super fucked up line. Speaking of misogyny, we skipped past it because this is the line that Patrick took unapproved liberties with. But when Eve refuses the alcohol, the brandy, she's like, "No, thank you." And he's like, "Good, it's wasted on women anyway." And I'm like, "What the fuck?" No, I was like, "Come on, like,
And that was,
I'm all
that
for
was,
Professor Marsh, but what the hell?"
that was without irony too. I mean,
No, there was no laughter or joking. It was just like
No.
wasted on women anyway. And I'm like, Why is it wasted on women? But okay.
no.
Right.
kind
Eve
of
was like,
comedic
yeah, that's
timing.
true. You're right.
She's like, sure, yeah, no, totally. Totes. I get it.
And she sat there and laughed it off, like, "Oh yeah, women." right?"
Yeah. Apparently
that's
it's
true,
just,
dear.
So Morley is giving some more exposition here, and he's like, look, when the burning happens, a lot of weird shit goes down. And then Robert rats out Elder. And Professor Marsh, he's like, "Yeah, he told me to get the fuck out of here." And Professor Marsh gets really upset, and he's like, "Why haven't you fired this asshole?" And Morley's like, "Well, I feel sorry for him. He had a mental breakdown after his father died, and he's just not the same, and he can't really do much of anything, so I sort of just keep him around because, it's the right thing to do." And then Marsh says, he's talking to Robert, and he's like, "I have a rather amusing collection that I would like to show you." And Robert's like, "Oh, really? What do you collect?" And like deadpan, without skipping a beat, he's like, "Instruments of torture," which is pretty fucking great.
Loved it.
So Robert starts having these like freaky ass nightmares while he's staying at this place. And Eve tells him that she's a typist working for Professor Marsh, and he's writing a book. And this is where she drops the bomb that he's actually one of the world's leading authorities on witchcraft. Next scene, he's taking, and this is one I would like to talk about. because he's taking a walk in the woods along this really pretty lake, and it's very well shot. And while he's walking, somebody shoots at him, and it's Basil.
You're talking about the guy with the sunglasses, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. He is a character that's in so many different British spy movies or suspense movies or horror movies. He's the mute driver who, doesn't talk, but yet can shoot you down, before you can blink. Yeah, they're in a lot of the sort of like the Black Gloved Killer in Giallos.
And they sort of get into a little fight, and then Marsh shows up, and he's like, oh, stop. And Robert's like, what the fuck? He just shot at me. And he's like, oh, don't worry. He's just shooting at birds. And also he's mute. And this scene comes and goes. After this, we sort of really never reference it again. And I guess I wrote down what is the point of all this? And really the only thing I can think is that it's a red herring, because we aren't supposed to know who the threat is. And we're supposed to feel like everybody's very suspicious and everybody's very creepy. Anybody have any thoughts about why else we have this crazy ass scene that makes no sense?
If you want to think logically, it's part of either a bigger side story that was cut completely out of the movie, or I don't know, maybe it was intentionally just something to throw us off, because the movie itself is supposed to, be a trip. It's supposed to be part of the new scene, back then, with acid and tripping out and all that stuff. And
yeah, I mean, that's what I got, that it's really just misdirection. We're supposed to be this Marsh guy is pretty fucking weird, and his manservant is really fucking weird.
And he clearly wasn't shooting at birds. He was shooting straight down. And what was Marsh doing in the middle of the woods in his wheelchair?
No
he just
idea.
randomly shows up. No one's pushing him. He just randomly comes out from behind the trees.
Oh, I hate this part right here.
Eve tells him goodnight. She's like, all right, see ya. And they've got rooms right next door. And she gives him a quick pet goodnight. And when she does that, he grabs her really tightly and aggressively, and he kisses her very deeply and non-consensually. And she's struggling to get away. She's clearly flailing her arms and shit. I know it's a different time, a different era. I get it. It's super gross. But she just kind of giggles and points to his room and sort of directs him to his bedroom. But this is where I wrote my first line, where I said, when can we kill Robert? I was very excited for when we were going to kill him off.
I wrote not soon enough.
Not soon enough. And yeah.
Well, this is what happens when you deprive women of whiskey. I mean, they're cold, They're not willing to fool around. He didn't think of that, I guess.
I'm going to pretend that you didn't just say any of that, and we're just going to keep moving forward. So when Robert goes back to his room, Elder's in there fucking around. And Elder basically tells Robert that Peter's dead. You need to stop looking for him. He is no longer here. So then Robert's like, oh, hell no. And he goes to confront Morley, and he's like, what the hell is going on? And he's like, look, dude, I'm going to go to the cops because none of this is making any sense. And Morley's like, go do it. Go call the cops. I don't give a fuck. And then Robert has another weird dream, and he sees Peter talking to them. And in this dream, Lavinia's trying to get him to sign that same book. And he's like, nope, I'm not having it. But she stabs him because she's pissed off. And then he wakes up, sort of, except for he's really just sleepwalking. He's still in his dream. And he sleepwalks downstairs, and he goes out to the graveyard in his pajamas. And this cop sees him basically trying to walk into the lake, and he wakes him up. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? And he takes him back to the house.
And not worried that he was trying to kill himself, apparently, but that he was just out in his pajamas. You can't do that. Be out in your pajamas.
You're in your jams. That's not becoming.
It was a very jolly cop, though.
And so Robert's like, oh, yeah, things aren't good. So I'm going to go knock on Eve's door and see what's up. So Eve is sleeping naked, as you do. And she gets up and she puts on this very, very thin nightgown and opens the door. And Robert's arm is bleeding, and we are led to believe that it is bleeding from the knife wound that he sustained in his supposed dream. She invites him in. She's like, you need to take your pajama top off so I can clean your wound. And she's like, what the fuck happened? And he's like, I have no idea. And he's shivering. So she's like, why don't you go get in the bed and you get warmed up? And I was like, we definitely know where this is headed at this point, you know? And she's like, well, you're all bandaged up, so you just need to go back to your room now. And he's like, no, but I'm too comfortable in your bed. And also, like, I'm just too ill to move. I can't possibly move. And she's like, well, it's not big enough for both of us, so you're going to have to go. And then he says, like, no, I've got a much better idea. And he pulls her aggressively on top of him, and he starts kissing and groping her. And then we get this very, like, unsexy sex scene. Like, it's not hot at all. And
with as good as the music was previously in that scene where the spooky scene walking down the stairs, this was terrible music for the love scene.
It's not a good sex scene at
It may be on the same track. When can we kill Robert?
And then I wrote again, seriously, when can we kill Robert? I am not happy with this dude at all. I'm not invested in his plight. I don't give a fuck about him.
I don't like you.
But we're getting towards the very end because Robert discovers a hidden door in his room. And that door leads to a staircase. And he follows the staircase and it goes to this cobwebbed loft. And it looks like the ritual room that he has been seeing in his dreams. So the next morning he goes to the cops and he sees the same cop that like rescued him from his jams. And then he goes to visit Marsh. And we get a little bit more exposition. And Marsh explains that Robert is the only living descendant of Jonathan Manning, who, dun dun dun, happens to be the principal accuser in Lavinia's witchcraft trial.
What a coincidence.
What a quinky dink.
What a twist.
Who would have seen this coming? It's very, very shocking. So Robert shows Eve the ritual room. And now he's like, okay, well, my dreams are straight up real. And there's some shenanigans going on. And he's like, there's this book that she kept trying to get me to sign. We need to find the book. So Eve finds it and she sees Peter's signature in it. And now Robert's like, oh shit, Morley's in on it. Like, he's a bad dude. It's like, Eve, you got to go figure out whose signatures are in that book. And so she sends her off to talk to the vicar. And then he finds another secret room and there's this box. And he opens this box and he finds dead elder inside.
I was just thinking that if that previous scene with Basil and Marsh was meant to be a red herring to put the suspicion on Marsh, like they don't follow up in it in this scene because Eve immediately is like, oh, it's Marley. There's like no question. It's like, who could it be? She's just like, no, it's this guy. So if they were doing a red herring, it was they did terrible follow-up on it. Yeah.
Terrible. I agree. So Eve goes to the vicar and she's like, hey, I need, some help here. And she asked for the name of everyone that was at Lavinia's trial in 1652. And of course, Elder's name is on the list as well. And meanwhile, while this is happening, Morley goes into the ritual room to do some shit. And he can tell right away somebody's been there because stuff is disturbed. And he's like, uh-oh, somebody's been here. So Eve comes home from talking to the vicar. And Morley's there. And he's like, oh, dear, we need to have a little chat. So he takes her into a room and he closes the door. And then we hear her scream on the other side. And in the next scene, she's hypnotized and Morley is explaining his plan. And he basically wants to see this curse, Lavinia's curse, fulfilled. But he says Eve has betrayed them and therefore she must die. So meanwhile, the vicar calls Marsh and he's like, oh, shit, like Eve, FYI, Eve came to visit me and she was asking for information and she said it was to help you write your book. So I was just calling up to get some kudos and see if it was helpful. Tells him, he's like, well, supposedly there's like some kind of witch room in this estate, in Morley's estate. And I don't know what the hell that's about, but Eve says there's a witch room. And Marcia's like, I don't like the sound of this. Basil, go get my car. So meanwhile, Morley is pouring gasoline all over the loft. And he's a straight up bad dude now. He's gone all full evil. And Robert comes in and he's calling for Eve. And Morley sneaks up behind him and chokes him out. And then when Robert comes to, he finds himself strapped to a chair. And he's got some sort of medieval headgear on. Eve is also strapped to the ritual table.
Well, it's torture tools. It's, you know,
It's torture time. And Morley's about to stab Eve. But Marsh shows up in the nick of time and shoots him. And Morley's wounded, but he has enough like oomph in him to set fire to the room, and then he escapes out to the roof. But they all rush out of the fire just in time. And they're all standing outside, and the whole community is out there now. And they're waiting for the firemen to arrive. And Marsh does his final bit of exposition where he's like, so here's the deal. Morley was a nutcase. He thought he was a warlock sworn to avenge Lavinia. And Robert's like, that's crazy. And he's like, so how could Morley have done all that? And Marsh is like, oh, easy, hypnotism. Which is our callback to the beginning quote where we talk about hypnotism.
It's true.
And he's like, and Robert's like, huh, interesting. And then we look up and we see Morley's on top of the roof and he's trapped and the flames are raging all around him. And at the last minute, Morley sort of like transforms into Lavinia. And she's laughing maniacally as the flames consume her. And I want to now ask you guys what you thought about the ending and how effective it was, if at all.
I did not find it effective.
No,
They didn't set up Morley enough to be a warlock or a hench person of Lavinia, or actually Lavinia herself.
Yeah.
Like maybe they could have thrown us more scenes of Lavinia in the dream room and trying to sign the book.
I think Lavinia was intended to be in that a lot more. I don't know if that was just her twilight years and she just wanted a quick paycheck or what. She got painted up pretty good though for it, so.
Yeah, she looked great.
Twist.
And the scenes that she's in, which are few and far between, but they're really cool.
Now, that movie, I got a little excited when we chose that. And the reason is I'm a collector of trailer compilations. I must have like a dozen of them. And that is one of the movies that for some reason is featured on almost all of them. And the trailer is just so, I mean, 70s trailer, it's so lurid and explosive. And I'm just like, this is the one. This is the Hammer movie that isn't dry as fuck. This is going to be the one. It wasn't.
So I guess that brings us to like one dig or dud and our favorite part, or at least my favorite part, 5-word reviews. So Jamie, I'll let you go. Like dig or dud?
Dud.
Dud. What's your 5-word review?
Bootleg psychedelia trips on Hammer.
Patrick, what do you got? Is it dig or dud?
I liked it, so I say dig.
All right. Go with your bad self. What's your review?
Scattered but effective Lovecraftian horror.
I'm like straddling that line between dig and dud for this one because it's not a good movie, but it is kind of fun to watch and there's like lots of cool shit happening. So I'm going to give it a dig, which is the caveat that like watch it for sort of the atmosphere and the experience, but just don't expect like a lot of narrative intrigue.
And for Christopher Lee and Karloff.
I mean, it's sort of, yeah, it's worth it alone just to watch the actors. My 5-word review is trippy dream logic, sleepy execution.
Oh, good. Excellent.
Untold bonus.
So now that we're done worshiping at the Crimson Altar, we are each going to take 60 seconds and we're going to attempt to sell you on one of our favorite underrated Hammer horror picks that you can watch right now on Tubi. But before we do that, if you listened to last episode where we talked about the rise of the beast, we played a little game at the end of that. And Jamie lost badly. Yeah. And it was our Beast or Bullshit trivia game that you can also play online at morbidlybeautiful.com. And we created a special punishment for him. And we were trying to decide if these sort of like B-movie sci-fi monster mashup mutant horror films were real or fake based on the title and synopsis. And this punishment is we took all the real films, and Patrick was able to pick one film that he wanted to force Jamie to watch on Tubi and provide a review of. And to Patrick's credit, he did pick the one and only best choice available to him, which was Catnado.
Cats, they are God's little creatures. They can bring a person so much joy and happiness. They can be truly wonderful, but they can also be little killers. Monsters from hell, some may call them, waiting for that one day to attack. Ladies and gentlemen, that day has come, and now we're all...
Oh God, it was horrible. And there was cats just spinning around this tornado. You wouldn't believe it. And they were like, rah, 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 rah.
And I'm super excited. I've been like dying to hear Jamie talk about his review of Catnado.
Me too.
And Jamie, what I really want to know is Catnado the perfect so bad it's good schlock fest? Or did it leave you clawing your eyes out?
It left me clawing my eyes and my throat out. And my guts. God, welcome, Stephanie, to drumroll, Donald Farmer universe. This man, Shark Exorcist. Hello, this is the guy. He's the executive producer of this anthology, and it's just he directs one of them, and it's just ick. It's awful, and it's hilarious. Why don't we get into it? Because you watched it too. And it's no fun to just sit here by myself and go, because we can bounce this shit off of each other.
Well, we can't turn this episode.
Meow, meow,
No.
Meow, 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 mew. We can't turn this episode into a Catnado episode because we don't have the time. And also, this is your punishment. So you need to give a thoughtful review of Catnado.
Okay. Okay, I have a 5-word thing for Catnado review. Cat cardboard cutouts. I tried. I got a second one. Stuffed animal cats. I tried. Quick summary.
All right.
I kind of repeated myself. Cardboard cutouts. I tried. Stuffed animal cats. I tried. Puppet cats who burst out of chests and make the alien noise. I tried. Cats that talk like Dracula. I tried. Furries that jump on airplanes and kidding. Yeah.
Jamie, are you kidding me right now?
I am not kidding.
I'd be feline if I'm not. If I didn't say I wasn't glad I picked this movie.
Oh shit.
I was thoroughly unimpressed with it.
Oh wow.
Are you kidding us?
I think I've lost them. I don't know. Anyway, the cat, there is cat effects. Like there's one segment where the cat is portrayed as a stuffed animal, portrayed like a stuffed animal, just so they can throw it. Like it's this like couple, I think, who are like, oh, our cat, Mr. McGoggles, Mr. McDonald's. He's coming to attack us. It's our poor kitty. And it's just people off to the side of the camera throwing a stuffed fucking cat at them. And they're like, oh. There's Catnado effects, but it's just, of course, it's the meow, meow, doubled. Out of sequence times 100. And these cats aren't animated. They're like cutouts. You get a cutout of a cat, like a black one. And there's just hundreds of them in a rotation effect around this like tornado animation. But it's like a Halloween decoration, like those things where they're blown up and you blow air in them and all the shit blows around. And it was just, and I don't know how they got away with using the actual alien sound effect, because that was the sound effect. I'm done.
Patrick,
Don't
can I
watch
tell you a
it.
secret?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what is going on, but Catnado is a goddamn masterpiece in every way, shape, or
no.
form.
You can't.
It's so good, and it's like 2 thumbs all the way up, 2 paws all the way up. It's great. Like, it's so fucking good, and it's like the craziest thing because it's an anthology, weirdly.
Yes.
And it's got all these like weird segments, and they're all different, like crazy stories. And the end story is like. It's so batshit crazy that it made me. I was laughing my ass off during this film. Jamie's just a hater. He doesn't appreciate joy. But if you appreciate joy, you will love Catnado.
I love
can't wait to
joy,
watch it.
but
You don't love joy, Jamie. Stop lying.
it's just,
You're joyless.
no.
It sounds like we
was
broke
just-
Jamie making him watch this one.
This one broke me. You know what? I want to thank you, Patrick, because you've given me something for my movie history books that I haven't had since I first laid eyes on a motion picture ever. I now have a concrete worst hated fucking movie ever. I now have it because I've never had one before. Oh, what's the worst movie you ever saw? I don't know. Just like I don't really know the best one. But this, I'm concrete. This is terrible. Terrible. Intentionally terrible, but I didn't get it. Let's put it that way. It is a joke of some kind, and I didn't get it. Maybe it was to be cute, like Stephanie said, because there is an irony of cute in it. There has to be. The furry at the end of the movie, oh my God. He feeds it like a bag of marijuana, but it's catnip, and it starts to trip out on the roof of the airplane. It's
I'm not lying. This is a good film.
what the fuck were those
Nothing
two
Jamie has
cats
said is
talking to
deterring me
that-
from watching it.
I'm not trying to. I'm trying to excuse myself in case anyone does and hates it and then comes back and says, hey, what were those cats doing? Talking to that guy, that absolute fucking maniac of a guy.
Oh my God, that's my favorite scene where the cats are like, and they, you know what they do? They sound like you doing a dramatic reading. That's the level of like cat dialogue we're getting. They're all like, I don't know, Mr. Whiskers. What do you think? It's
the one,
crazy.
the one talked like Dracula.
Yes, so good. It's so fucking good. I'm telling you right meow. It's the best. You've got to see Catnado.
Oh my God,
All right.
Stephanie.
Well, that was fun. But right now, I think we should pause for a moment.
Gather
Right?
ourselves.
We should pause. And we should switch gears and talk about a film on Tubi that we actually do recommend and think is unironically great that you should check out if you're into the Hammer horror vibe. Patrick, do you want to go first on this round?
I would love to.
After that dramatic pause, you're like, I would love nothing more, Stephanie. Thank you.
I'm still in my Karloff mode. He had a lot of dramatic pauses.
Do it in Karloff's voice. I'd be down for that.
Here's a dusty storybook opening up.
And Jamie will do it in his Mrs. Doubtfire voice.
Hello. All right.
Hello, dear.
You ready for story time, dear?
Thank you, dear.
Oh
You like
my
lemon in your
God.
tea?
This is bananas.
Dear, I have lovely scones. They just came out right out of the oven.
All right, Patrick, the floor is yours.
Where is your?
Okay. My underrated movie, I picked something I've been watching since I was a preteen. The Hammer Horror 1972 Vampire Circus, directed by Robert Young. With Christopher Lee having almost no interest in reprising his role of Count Dracula, Hammer Studios produced vampire movies without Dracula or Van Helsing. After the 1970 to 1971 Karnstein trilogy, which was The Vampire Lovers, Twins of Evil, and Lust for a Vampire, Hammer released the 1972 movie Vampire Circus. The story is about a small village where the schoolmaster witnesses his wife abduct a little girl and take her to the castle of Count Mitterhaus, a vampire who is believed to be responsible for the disappearances of other children from the village. The schoolmaster rounds up the men of the village to rise up against the Count. They invade his castle and kill the Count, who, with his dying breath, curses the village, vowing their children will die to bring him back. Then the movie goes 15 years into the future. The village is now ravaged by a plague. They are blockaded by other towns, so no one can enter the town or leave the town. But through the blockade comes the mysterious Circus of Night, with strange magical performers to entertain the villagers and make Count Mitterhaus's prediction come to pass. Vampire Circus has a sense of surrealness that adds to the dreamy isolation of the villagers. Director Robert Young uses the strangeness of the circus to infuse a stylish sense with a pervading doom, along with the grotesque erotica that Hammer has become known for. Vampire Circus is maybe the last great Hammer vampire movie, with movies like Dracula AD 1972, The Satanic Rites of Dracula, and Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires following the release of Vampire Circus. Vampire Circus is a must-see for Hammer and horror fans alike.
Well done.
That was when Hammer was getting into its groovy period. Well, it's around that era. That's what Vampire Lovers is from, too. And around that era, that's when they made a lot of their most memorable movies.
Sure.
Well, Jamie, why don't you tell us about Vampire Lovers?
Okay. Vampire Lovers, starring Ingrid Pitt. There's a caution on the backside of the, I'm not making this up, there's a caution on the other side of the video, or the DVD disc here. Caution, not for the mentally immature. A female vampire.
And you watched it anyway?
For damn right I watched it anyway. A female vampire. Sorry, take two. A female vampire with lesbian tendencies ravages the young girls and townsfolk of a peaceful hamlet in 18th century Europe. Whoa! Years earlier, killed off her fellow vampires. A rousing hunt for the vampiress ensues as a group of men follow her bloody trail of terror through the countryside. Adapted from J. Sheridan Le Fanier's novella Carmilla, The Vampire Lovers stars Ingrid Pitt, George Cole, and Peter Cushing. This rather erotic Hammer chiller, if you dare, come into the twilight world of unspeakable horror and taste the deadly passion of the blood nymphs.
And now for something completely different.
Forget your classic Hammer monsters. Demons of the Mind dives deep into the twisted psyche of 19th century Bavaria, where the real horror isn't fangs or claws, but the human mind itself. Baron Zorn, haunted by his wife's madness, locks his children away, convinced they're cursed. But are they truly insane, or are they victims of his own crippling fear? This isn't your typical gothic romp. It's a psychological thriller, a slow burn that builds into a terrifying crescendo. Expect chilling atmosphere, unsettling performances, and a story that lingers long after the credits roll. If you crave a Hammer film that dares to explore the depths of human madness, Demons of the Mind is a must-see.
Untold endings.
This week we're going to do something a little different, and we are going to play a game of Hammer Horror Mad Libs. There is exactly one digitized version of a Hammer horror script available online. And that is for the 1958 film Horror of Dracula. And we're going to create our own Mad Libs retelling of this famous Gothic masterpiece.
Steph. Need a verb, past tense.
Karaoke'd.
All right, Jamie, need a villain's name.
Ant Windbreaker.
Steph, verb, present tense.
Scream.
Jamie, noun.
Anthill.
Steph, verb.
God, I get all the verbs. Jump rope.
Steph, plural noun.
Oh, I go again.
Throwing you a little curveball.
Kittens.
Jamie, verb, past tense.
Consumed.
Jamie, verb.
Confused.
Steph, adjective.
Freaky.
Jamie, deity.
God damn it. Could I say the flying spaghetti monster? No,
Sure.
Buddha.
Oh, Buddha, okay.
Buddha. I'll make it easier.
All right. Steph, adverb.
Quickly.
And Jamie, verb.
Adorn.
Steph, adjective.
Gnarly.
And Jamie, you get the last one, noun.
Lighter.
So that completes the paragraph, and I'll read it out with all the entries put in. So this is from Harker's diary entry. At last, I have karaoke'd Ant Windbreaker. He screamed me as a anthill who has agreed to jump rope among his kittens, as I consumed. It only remains for me now to confuse the freaky hours when, with Buddha's help, I will quickly adorn this gnarly lighter's reign of terror.
That was great. Good job.
Stephanie, give me a noun, will you?
A name, you mean?
Please? Or, yeah, what did I say?
You said noun.
Oh, noun. Well, the same thing, kind of. Name.
It's not the same thing. Hermione.
Give me a verb.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Or Patrick?
You.
Okay. Swim.
Patrick, what's your place?
Locker room.
Stephanie, verb.
Contemplate.
Patrick, verb. Hello?
I'm thinking.
I'm thinking.
Throw.
Stephanie, adverb.
Gently.
Patrick, adjective.
Pretty.
Stephanie, adjective.
Kooky.
Stephanie, occupation.
Proctologist.
Patrick, noun.
Guardian.
Stephanie, verb.
Breakdance.
Okay, Patrick, noun.
Moon.
I am, what am I? And I swim to my locker room. I must contemplate not being here to throw you gently. I consider you need editing here. I consider myself pretty to have found such a kooky proctologist to act as my guardian. But there is just one more thing. I have to break dance, and I will not be back until after sundown. But until then, please look upon this moon as your own.
All right. Nice. Jamie, give me a noun.
The gloves are off. Give you a noun.
A noun.
Funnel.
Okay. Patrick, give me a verb, present tense.
Motorboat.
All right, Patrick, give me a place.
Buttocks.
Buttocks?
All right.
Okay.
Is that a place? I guess so. Jamie, give me a noun.
Wired. No, that's not a noun, is it?
No.
Wire. W-I-R-E.
Okay, and give me an adjective.
Mossy.
Patrick, shit. Give me an adjective.
Fuckface.
Yeah.
All right. And Patrick, give me a verb.
Stimulate.
Ooh. Jamie, give me a verb.
Suffocate? He would suffocate.
Okay. Patrick, give me a verb.
Stimulate.
You already said stimulate. You want to do another one?
Dang it. I like that one. Harass.
Jamie, give me a noun.
Cheese grater.
Patrick, give me a verb.
Rub.
Yikes. And Jamie, give me a noun.
Mannequin.
You ask for a funnel? Is it not enough that he motorboats me locked in this buttocks? Holds me against my will? You can have no wire, what a mossy man he is, or the fuckface things he does. I could not, dare not try to stimulate on my own. He would suffocate me again, I know. But with you to harass me, I would have a cheese grater. Oh, you must rub me. You must. You're my only mannequin. You must.
That worked.
This has been Untold Horrors with Jamie, Steph, and Patrick. Thank you for listening. Until next time, watch more horror, explore more depths, and be excellent to each other. We'll see you on the other side.
This is a very special night for us in this part of the world. The Lord, fuck, I'm starting over. That was Irish. It's good Irish. It's good Irish, but it was Irish.